Welcome to the Sent from Disneyland podcast.
Here age relives fond memories of the past.
If it's your first time joining us, welcome. On this episode, we'll take a journey into the past and explore Disneyland and Disneyland history with mementos, snapshots, and postcards sent from Disneyland from 1955 to the present. Today I'm starting off by thanking my patrons from patreon.com. You can join and receive mail from my desk or from my Disneyland trips. Special thanks to Random Olive, the first patron to this podcast, and to the e-ticket patrons Tania, Eric Daniels, Joe Gamble, Scott Booker, Monica Seitz Vega, Russ Romano, Michael and Christina Cross, Scott Cagle, and Sheila Harry. C-ticket patrons Serious Inquiries Only, Debbie Weinstein, Jennifer Schneep, Grace Coate, Brian Crawford, Ben and Noel Bruning, Patty Wolin, Angela Reynolds, Greg Gorley, and Aaron Moran. B-ticket patrons Jeff and Paige Orton, and Joshua, and Exorable Tosh Bell. And the A-ticket patrons Elise Sharp, Zealot Infinity, Alexis Robles, Maggie and Henry Byers, Angel DeBlois, and the All Aboard podcast. You can also sign up for my new newsletter for a chance to get some postcards delivered by the USPS to your mailbox. I am your host, your post-host Clocky, and today we have 2 postcards sent from Disneyland. The front of our first postcard has a clock of the world in front of Tomorrowland. In the distance, you can see the nautical flags on either side of the walkway, and above, some large balloons floating in the air. On the back it reads, Tomorrowland, Disneyland's world of dreams and hopes, where a future in scientific conquest is envisioned. The clock of the world marks the Tomorrowland entrance. It's postmarked November 4th, 1955, with a High Grove cancel and a 2-cent John Adams postage stamp, Scott number 806. I assume they visit the park on Friday, October 28, 1955, and Sunday, October 30th, 1955, when park hours were from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. both days. The weather was a high of 85 and a low of 46 on Friday, and a high of 86 and a low of 50 on Sunday. Park attendance was 4,610 on Friday, and 15,545 on Sunday. It's addressed to Mrs. Grace Foster of Taunton, Massachusetts. It reads, November 3rd. Went to Disneyland Friday, October 28th. Most interesting. Enjoyed trip to Griffith Planetarium Thursday evening. Saturday to see Anemra, and Sunday to Unity Church, Los Angeles. Over 500 membership. Came back here Sunday p.m. Anemra holiday starts at Warning Theater, November 4th. Hope to see it before long. Love, Rose Whitney. Last Sunday, when I was going through my vintage Disneyland slides, I found one that required me to do a little bit of digging into what the original rocket jets of Tomorrowland looked like. Doing further research, I found more information about what was in Tomorrowland before the jets, and more about the evolution of the Astro Jets, Tomorrowland Jets, rocket jets, and currently the Astro Orbiter. Going back to 1955 and the opening of the park, the center of Tomorrowland was known as the Court of Honor. This was an 8-pointed star-shaped planter box. Each point had a row of 6 flagpoles, with the larger flagpole in the center. The center pole displayed the United States flag, and the 48 other flagpoles were dedicated to the 48 states. This was in 1955 and before Alaska and Hawaii had joined the United States. During the opening day broadcast of Disneyland, 48 Boy Scouts were present to hoist up all the state flags during a special presentation with a drum roll as a soundtrack. The flags flew for around 8 months and were repurposed at the entrance of Tomorrowland. The new avenue of flags lined the entrance and stretched from the hub to the clock of the world. They were placed in order of when each state was established, and eventually flags representing Hawaii and Alaska were added. Each flagpole also included a plaque with the state's name, motto, and the number order it joined the country. The flags were lowered for the last time in 1966, as they were not part of the new Tomorrowland entrance. Great news! Enfield Post is back up on Etsy. Grabbing some vintage stamps is a great way to plus your mail. Whether you're trying to match the color of your postcard or envelope, or adding a themed stamp to the back of your mail, be sure to check out Enfield Post. You can head over to enfieldpost.com and explore all the different vintage stamps you can use on your next card or letter. That's ENFIELDPOST on Instagram and enfieldpost.com for your wedding and vintage postage needs. Enfield Post is the official postage stamp sponsor of the Sent from Disneyland podcast. The front of our next postcard has the Matterhorn. You can see Goofy looking up at the peak, and 2 bobsleds going by the tall waterfall. If you look closely, you can see one of the old Kodak photo spot signs. On the back it reads, Matterhorn Mountain. A Disneyland landmark, the snow-capped Matterhorn Mountain towers majestically over all of the Magic Kingdom. High-speed bobsled runs carry guests down its slopes and through a glacier grotto inside the mountain. It's postmarked September 2nd, 1966, with a San Francisco cancel and a 4-cent black and white Lincoln postage stamp, Scott number 1282. I assume they visited the park on Thursday, September 1st, 1966, when park hours were from 9 a.m. to midnight. The weather was a high of 78 and a low of 63. Park attendance that day was 31,952. It's addressed to Mr. J. Fred Thompson of Kansas City, Missouri. It reads, Anna Mae and I went bobsledding in the Matterhorn, trying to be young again, going to San Francisco and from there hence. At Las Vegas we were a bit lucky. We needed it. Regards from both of us, Ludwig. After the removal of the Court of Honor, the prime central Tomorrowland real estate became the home to an idea John Hench had for Tomorrowland called the Saturn Patrol Ride Rocket. His original concept was similar to what was added to the park, which was the Astrojets. This attraction included 12 rockets guests would fly in a circle attached to a center mast. The limited controls allowed them to go up and down as the attraction spun the rockets around, ending with all the rockets at their apex before coming in for a landing. The primary difference with the Hench version was his concept art had the rockets spinning inside a building. The Astrojets opened on March 24, 1956. This was the first major attraction to be added to Tomorrowland. I mentioned some of the history and details in episode 60, Sent from the Jets. The original rocket jets were located at ground level and would only reach a maximum height of 36 feet while spinning around the center point. In 1964, the Astrojets were renamed the Tomorrowland Jets, so they wouldn't be confused with the new Astrojet logo painted on the new American Airlines planes. The photo I found while inventorying my slides caught me by surprise, as I'd never seen the Astrojets in these colors. The original Tomorrowland Astrojets were blue and white and red and white, with a red and white checkered center post and ride mechanism. When looking at other details of the original Astrojets, my image may be of the Disneyland Astrojets or possibly the same attraction made by the Casper Klaus Company. The company made different rotojet attractions, many of which have been out of commission for decades. The main difference between the Tomorrowland version and the slide image includes the colors and a lower section of the center which is missing from the center post. Doing a deep dive looking for a match to the photo I have came up empty. There were many versions of the Casper Klaus rotojet attractions made. I'll keep searching to see where this one was located and if it was the Disneyland's version relocated. The slide is dated August 68. Since the Astrojets were removed from Disneyland in 1966, there is a possibility. This incoming postcard is sponsored by the Art Throwdown. Art Throwdown, or ATD, is an online craft hour on Instagram, starting at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 Pacific. Be sure to check out Monday's ATD, which is usually hosted by paper artist Russ Romano. I've seen many amazing art projects, learned about awesome postmarks, postage stamp history, and a lot more on different episodes. It's great to stop in for an hour to watch someone craft or design something unique. Each host brings something a little different to each show. I'll list some of the regular hosts, or you can follow Russ Romano 2021 on Instagram. The front of my incoming postcard has a Disney cruise ship sailing in open waters. Above the ship, you can see a hidden Mickey in the clouds. It's postmarked June 3rd, 2024, with an Oakland cancel and a Manatee Forever postage stamp, Scott number 5851. It reads, Ahoy! Doug and I are upon the Disney Wonder in the middle of the ocean. Hellish for you, I'm sure. The food on the ship is excellent. Lots of amazing theming and characters. This ship is older, 25 years. Ta-ta! Alex. Thank you so much for the postcard, Alex. It's true, I'm in no rush to get on any cruise line, but I am curious to see if there's a mailbox on the ship, or if you had to post this card when you got back on the mainland. I'm impressed that the Disney Cruise Line does have a postcard available for guests. Thanks for listening to Sent from Disneyland. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe and tell your friends. It would be helpful to share your favorite episode to a friend or on social media. There are over 200 to choose from. It would also help to leave a 5-star rating and comment at whatever podcast platform you use. If you would like to support the show financially, please check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/sentfromdisneyland. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook at Sent from Disneyland, or on Twitter at Sent from Disney. For questions and comments, send me a postcard addressed to Sent from Disneyland, P.O. Box 44, Hood, California, 95639. This podcast is not affiliated with Disney, the United States Postal Service, or any post office or Disney properties. Opinions expressed on this podcast belong to its host and guests of the Sent from Disneyland podcast.